This is Harry. I'm 45 years old man whose first wife named Rena had been died due to tuberculosis. We were having one daughter named Linta of 21 years old and one son named Kale. His age is 18 years. My belated wife had been treated by one of the well-known doctors of the town named Jessica. Jessica was 37 years old, divorced doctor. She was such a smart lady who was really devoted towards her duty. She was so serious about her work that she often came to our house to treat my wife. Both of my children liked her stylish and charming nature. She was also having familiar bonding with my children after my wife died. I thought I would marry this woman because I know all about her and perhaps my children also like her. After 5 months of my wife's death, I got married to Jessica. My elder daughter was not satisfied with my second marriage. She was not ready to accept a stepmother. She was totally opposed of this marriage and hence in extreme anger and frustration. She went to settle in a hostel far away from our house based in. I tried hard to stop her but she did not listen to me and left. My son's reaction was moderate. She was neither sad nor happy. He used to be more engaged in watching Netflix or playing video games. My wedding night was extremely thought-provoking. As to be honest, I was not expecting a serious and beautiful Dr. Jessica. So responsive and goat. Well, we really enjoyed that night, but it seemed that to me that our voices were going out of the room and someone was standing outside the room listening to us. Then I ignored it by thinking that it was my delusion. Next day, Jessica went to take cold shower, dressed up, wore perfume and moved to kitchen. She cooked a delish pancake for us all. I was really impressed to see her wonderful cooking skills. I was wondering that why and how someone think of divorcing such a homey and perfect wife as usual. She went on her duty. I dropped her at hospital and then I moved towards my office. I was fully trapped in meeting at my office. Meanwhile, I received a message from her hubby, "Get ready for outing today." I smiled after seeing her message. And then at that night, we had a lot of fun one day on reaching my home when it was about 5 o'clock. I was shocked to see that my son was still sleeping since morning when he woke up after listening. Our panic. He was still looking very and overt tired. I was amazed to see him in this corny state. I then requested my wife to take care of my son. She listened to me and shook her head and said, "Don't worry." After this, I went to my room and was about to sleep. Meanwhile, my phone began to ring. It was my daughter's call. She asked about her brother and appealed me to take care of her brother. As he is a teenager, teenagers tend to adopt different bad activities as they are just young, warm-blooded people who are not aware of difference between good and bad. I did not like this from my daughter because she was admonishing me as if I were a child. Just a few days after the wedding, my wife told me that she wanted to go out of town for some very important work. Then I asked. She told me that I have to go to treat a patient. I gave her permission and she left for another city at night. Rather, I did not spend much time with this woman. But after her departure, I began to miss her a lot. Then I called her on the phone which she did not pick. I thought she must be working or sleeping next day. I got a call from my son's school saying that he was taking too many holidays. And if he did not show up, he would be expelled. When I asked my son angrily, why did not he go to school? He said that I miss my sister and mama. Hearing this, I felt sad for him. Then I advised him that you have to go to school if you want to be successful. Then I left my son's room. I forgot my car keys in his room. So when I came back to his room, I was surprised to hear my son's conversation with her friend. He was laughing and saying to his friend that now I have got an excuse not to go to school. You guys are busy studying and preparing for exams while I'm watching Netflix and enjoying video games. I was very angry at this unexpected action, but I did not say anything to him and silently took my key from his room and went to my office. After reaching my office, I was worried and angry. My son's life kept coming to my mind. Meantime, I received my wife's call. She was saying that the condition of the patient there has deteriorated. So it will take about 4 to 5 more days for me to be out of town. I honestly did not know that being a doctor was such a tough job where the husband really suffers. When I reached home, I saw that my son was injured as if he has back with some of his friends. I was worried when I saw his injuries and asked him what happened. He said nothing. I am fine. Well, I cleaned his blood from his arm by using first aid blocks and asked him the reason politely. He told that he had a fight with his friend. When I asked him the reason for the fight, he said that my father was being abused, which I could not tolerate. I no longer believed him because I had seen him lie so often without knowing more about this fight. I warned him to stay away from such friends and bad company. Anyways, 5 days passed and my wife reached home. I greeted my wife with a hug. When I saw the mark on her neck, I asked her about that mark. She got scared and said I was bitten by a mosquito. But it was clear that the mark was a human tooth. It was beyond my understanding that she has given me a wrong answer and lie, but I did not drag the matter further. A few days later, it was my daughter's birthday. I wanted my daughter to come home from the hostel so that we could celebrate her birthday together. 2 days before her birthday, I brought her home. My daughter was probably still angry with me. I was totally unaware of her arrival. I was going to buy a fluffy chocolate cake for my daughter, when a neighborhood man came to me and said, "Keep an eye on your boy's activities. Yesterday, I saw him in a bar where he was overdrunk with a few of his friends." My son's bad habits were increasing day by day, which was causing me worry. When I told this to my daughter, she said that I told you that this boy is young and you have to watch his actions. Then I asked my daughter to counsel her brother herself. I celebrated my daughter's birthday in great way. And finally she was ready to leave the house in order to go for the hostel. She said some strange things in my ear. She said, "I believe your new wife is not a good woman. Ian is cheating on you." After whispered these words in my ears, she picked up her belongings and left saying goodbye. I did not consider her words because I knew she was not happy with my second marriage and did not like her stepmother. But still I was forced to wonder why she said all this about her mother. At the same night, Jessica was wearing a tight miniskirt. I got high and moved towards her. But then I saw certain marks on her thighs. I was really shocked after seeing them and asked her about them. She replied, "I'm having a temporary seasonal allergy I got from one of my patient." It was really a corny thing as she was really conscious about her hygiene that she used to wear a mask and apply sanitizer every time when dealing with the patients. Although I kissed her and then we slept those days, I was having a tremendous workload. I used to be so occupied in the work that I reached home very late. But perplexing thing is even at that hour of night, my wife and my son were awake. I felt that they were waiting for me, but they did not express it at all because they were pretending to sleep in bed. This act was beyond my understanding. Once it was midnight, when I saw my wife was not in bed, I went out of my room looking for her. But then I heard some sounds coming from washroom. When I opened the door of the bathroom, I saw my wife was talking to someone in call. I asked her with hand gestures, "What are you doing here?" She was totally scared to see me. But then she controlled her nervousness and asked me out with hand signals coming out of the washroom. She told me that she was talking to her patient. She further said that she don't want my sleep to be disturbed in any way. So she stepped towards washroom. It was really strange. We had been married for almost a year and now I wanted to have a baby. But from her behavior, it seemed that she was not interested in having children. I found this thought very strange because usually women don't have this kind of desire. After some days, My son came to me as if he wanted to talk to me. But after sitting for a while he left. I kept asking him what he wanted to talk about. He was too scared and could not say anything and said nothing. Finally, he said, "I just want some money in order to buy a gift for my friend." I laughingly asked in a humorous way, "You want money to buy a gift for a boy or a girlfriend?" He did not show any emotion at my joke and walked away quietly as if he had minded my words. I had to leave the city for work on the next day when I told my wife that I'm going out of town. I saw a twinkle in her eyes. I felt like she wanted to say goodbye to me happily. I was just about to be leaving for work to another city. Meanwhile, my boss called me on the way. I said that I will have to go next week. So I went back to my house and my wife opened the door for me. I was surprised that my wife had come to open the door as she often used to be at her clinic. At that time, when she saw me standing at the door, it was as if her senses flew away and any of her plans were ruined. I haven't even asked about her presence in-house. She started telling me hurriedly that she was not feeling well. That's why she will be staying at home to take rest. When I caught a side at my son who was coming down the stairs and was looking at me with his tarnish as if he had seen me for the first time. I did not understand the creepy behavior of my wife and my son at all. I asked my son, "Why are you wandering at home?" He replied to me in a frightened version that today is debate competition in our school. I'm really not interested in attending it. Then he left the house with eyes down and informed me that I'm going to my friend's house for studies. And then when I went to my bedroom, I saw that my wife's linen was scattered in our bed. Jessica then told me that they are all dirty and I had taken it all for washing. I asked her to get these clothes off the bed. Then I put my things, etc. inside the closet and went to my bed and lay down after some nap. I took out my laptop and started doing my work. I felt my wife was fine as she was making plans to hang out with her friends. I was fully engaged in call with one of my client. During the interval, my son knocked at the door. Perhaps he was there to talk to me. Adjusted to him to be patient. He wandered outside my room for some time. But I was so busy with work that I did not remember and finally fell asleep while working. Finally, the day came, when I went out of town for work. My son came to me again as he wanted to tell me something. He then looked around and then said to me, "Listen, Daddy, this woman is not a good character. She's not what she seems. I would not like to be alone with this woman." At first, I was very surprised to listen to my son. But then I started to think that my son has a habit of flying. I began to think that he is now also against with her stepmother. Like her sister. I then told my son not to worry and then left for my journey. To be honest, I kept thinking about my son all the way, but I did not understand anything. My heart started to panic. So I thought I should call my wife and talk to her. Jessica was not picking the call. Then I remembered what my daughter told me once. So I thought of calling my daughter. When my daughter picked up the call, I asked her, "Which chocolate should I bring for you from the city?" Then I convinced my daughter that, "Baby, do not be stop-worn, come back home." My daughter said that don't like the presence of this lady in our house at all. When I asked my daughter why she hates Jessica so much, she told me that once I unintentionally caught her sending nudes to someone. Moreover, once when I was with my friends in a coffee cafe, I saw her on date. I was really bowled over and declined the call with embarrassment. All my journey passed on thinking about this mysterious thing. I then began to feel that this was a conspiracy by my son and my daughter to throw her stepmother out of the house. Finally, I reached my work destination and 3 or 4 days passed by. The next day, I had to leave for my home. I was working on my laptop when my son called me and said, "Daddy, why don't you take my words seriously?" I asked in anger, "What's the matter?" He replied, "Thing is, for a long time, I did not have the enough courage to speak it out, but I must have aware you with your wife's reality once she caught me at when I was watching an erotic video and I was doing something naughty. So she made my video and started threatening me that if I don't get intimate with her, she will show my video to everyone. She used to seduce me and send me inappropriate videos. She touched me many times, not just with me but with so many other guys, young teenage boys. She even insisted me today to spend night with her. She's really sex hungry. If you don't trust me, you can come by today to catch her red-handed. It's 4 o'clock right now and you will be there exactly after 6 hours. After hearing all this, my mind was literally spinning. I decided to move towards my home to know the matter. My journey was all in complex thought. It was about 11 o'clock when I quietly entered the house and went to my room with small steps. I felt some voices like someone is forcing to the other one and opening the door. I was shocked to see my wife being intimate with my son. I realized that whatever my son and my daughter told me about Jessica was absolutely true. After seeing me, she was totally surprised and began to cover herself up. When I asked her all about it, she told me the dad lying that she loves to do things with young guys. I've never seen such a shameful woman in my life. I took her out of the house and divorced her. She apologized a lot, but all in vain. How could I accept such a hungry girl? I was very embarrassed in front of my children and apologized to them. My daughter has finally came home back. Now me with my 2 kids are having prosperous life. I will never get married again because I feel like living alone with that partner is better than being the disloyal partner.